Hello there, Blindy Sama here, and today we have episode 4 of Blindy Builds. And today we're going to talk about wooden mallets. Now, as they say, there's more than one way to cook a chicken, and there's more than one way to make a mallet. However, all of these are the same basic construction method, which is you put your little socket hole in the head of the mallet, put some really good wood glue in there, and smack that handle in there nice and tight and let it dry. These are all meant to be functional, but I still think that they'd be just a lovely piece to have laying around in your workshop just for something cool. Mind you, some of them are going to be a little bit more rugged for more rugged tasks, and some of them are going to be better for, well, more dainty tasks. But these were a lot of fun to make, and all of them are made out of oak. 2 different species of oak. I honestly could not tell you the specifications because I'm not an arborist. So, why mallets? Well, why not? They're fun, they're fairly simple to make, and depending on how you do them, they can turn out looking really cool, and you can smack stuff with them. Who doesn't like smacking stuff with other stuff? So, as you can tell, my first 2 here on the far left, the ones that are painted brown, these were pretty fun to make. And this one, with that offset head, is really neat, because if you look at the wood, the tree that I salvaged a branch from apparently has some kind of ant infestation. You can see that hole right there that my thumb's over? That is from ants making a colony inside of the tree. Now, don't worry. I'm well aware of that could be a structural flaw, but for what this little mallet would be used for, it shouldn't be a problem. And I left most of the bark on this handle and just painted it brown, and it turned out really good. And it's kind of cute. Kind of reminds me of, you know, a almost like a kid's toy blunted axe, the way that it's shaped. You know, except that's not flat, it's round-ish on the head. And the wood, because of the ant infestation, the bark came right off. You see all these really cool details in the wood. Now, I know some people would have gotten out a plane or a chisel or, you know, their belt sander and gotten rid of all of that. You know, and removed all of those characteristics to make it look more uniform and machined, and that's fine, but that's not my style. If possible, I'll try to show the uniqueness of the wood whenever I make a piece, even if I paint it or stain it, whatever. So that little mallet is really cute, and I'm probably going to keep that one just because it's the first one I made, just to see how far I go as I make more mallets. And you can already see the progression after only 5 mallets of me getting already a lot better at it. It also helps that instead of just regular drill bits, I recently got some spade bits, and those changed my game. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Blindy Sama, you said you don't use electric or mechanical tools or whatever. You only use muscle-powered tools. Not true. I said I mostly use muscle-powered tools. But sometimes there's no substitute for a good drill or something else. But I do prefer muscle-powered tools, and I don't think I have the patience to have a brace and bit and try to do the sockets that way. But it could be done. This one, the second one, turned out really cool. And what I did for this one and the first one is there was a knot in what was going to be the head of the mallet, and I drilled a hole right through the knot to make my socket. Or drilled out that knot mostly to make that socket. And of course, as you can tell, I left most of the bark on and then carved a spiral, so it adds some aesthetic flair, but there's plenty of texture for grip. This mallet can most definitely be used. And it has a slightly rounded side and a flatter side. Those of you who are familiar with hammers and mallets know why. I'm not going into it, because I'm not a hammer expert. Then we have these other 3, the black one, the purple one, and the pink one. And these I made for some new neighbors of mine who do tree tending, and they are trimming up the oak trees that are looming over my house. And they're nice enough to not charge me for it, because they're really lovely people. So I made them some mallets, because they also seem to like to do a little bit of crafting in their spare time. So I figured they would like these. And if they don't use them, I figured they might appreciate them. Especially this big black one here. That's going to be for the man of their household. Because this is made to be really solid and could really get some thunking done. I left kind of a rough aesthetic on it as well. And left the bark on the handle and just carved a spiral. But I think he'll like this the most, because all of this is made from some of the tree trimmings of that oak tree. Now, these other two, I wanted to do the same thing, but I didn't want to make the mallets overly heavy for the other two people that were going to receive them. So what I did was I took, this is another piece of that other oak branch that I had that had the ant colony in it, because you can see all the really cool characteristics in the wood. So I took a piece of that, and then part of an oak sapling from my backyard, and made the handle for it. And of course carved a spiral. Painted it purple. It's pretty. And this little bump here at the top is not the top of the handle. It just so happens to be what would have originally been a branch coming out of the main branch. And I left it on there. I didn't file it flat, because with putting the handle into the socket, I thought it looked really neat for this bit here. So if you don't look for it, you think that it's one of the mallet styles that where the handle goes all the way through the head. So I just thought that it looked cool. And the wood itself, again, has some really cool characteristics that I didn't want to remove completely. Because, well, sometimes wood does cool things. Then we got this little pink one here, which is for their daughter. And she seems to be a very creative kid. And from what I hear, she likes to do a little bit of woodworking of her own. I don't know what kind of woodworking, I don't know. So I had another piece of oak from one of the younger trees in my backyard. I just so happened to find this hunk of oak in my workshop while looking around through my scraps to see if I had anything to make heads out of, and, well, apparently I did. So I took that and a piece of sapling and, ta-da, pink mallet. This is a cute little lightweight mallet, and it'd be perfect for, like, just barely tapping the back of a chisel, or tapping in little wooden pegs, or something like that. Maybe even tapping in gemstones into sockets or something, depending on the hardness of the gemstones, because some of them are really brittle, and they go... But yeah, so mallets. They're fun, they're fairly quick and easy, especially with the right tools. And usually this is a beginner woodworking project that a lot of people do, and I don't know why I did things backwards. And they're one of the more recent things that I'm doing. But I've really enjoyed making them. And it's kind of cool to make something functional that still has like a fantasy, rustic element to it. Because I like making, props as well. Like with my walking sticks, some of them are functional. They can hold up weight. And then some of them just look cool and are meant to be, something that you wear when you go to the Ren Fair or what have you. But either way, this has been episode 4 of Blindy Builds. Don't let your disabilities hold you back if you think that you want to try something or try a new skill in a safe manner. Go for it. You're only going to limit yourself. So don't be handicapped, be handy capable. And for anyone else there who doesn't have a disability and you're hesitating about trying out a new hobby, if you can do it safely, give it a try. You won't know if you like it until you try it. All right, have a nice day.